Barack Obama has been on a television blitz in these final days of the campaign, much of it centered around entertainment shows. From The View and The Daily Show, he talked about the debates this week on Jay Leno's couch.
The truth is, this is not a natural way of communicating, right? You're sitting next to somebody and having an extended argument with them like that.
Well, you're married.
Well, I am. But the difference is that with Michelle, I just concede every point.
Yeah, you concede every point. Yeah.
The president also let Brian Williams tag along with him for 2 days, producing a wealth of coverage on NBC programs.
After the excitement of '08, given the power of incumbency, you got bin Laden. You did not expect to be sitting on a more substantial race than we are as we sit here today.
No, Brian, listen, you guys have some short memories. Folks in your business were writing me off a year ago, saying there's no way I would win.
So what portrait of the president are these shows giving us? Joining us now is David Zurich, television and media critic for the Baltimore Sun. All right, let's start with Leno. You were not a big fan of the way that Jay handled the president's appearance. Why not?
As I said, he spent the entire, they gave him the whole show, except for the monologue and the music. That's a lot of time. That's not, oh, President Obama dropped by today, Jay. He got the whole show. That's a lot of free advertising. And Jay spent it literally like a guy on his knees teeing up one question after another so Obama could drive. It was like a driving range, drive him off into the distance. You saw even that where he asked him about the debate. You'd say, well, he asked him about a poor debate performance.
And then he fed him.
He fed him the line to make him look great, and how he let him reconstruct the narrative of like, well, this is an unnatural act, debating.
Okay,
you want a real man like me here, you know?
Is this because Leno is a soft interviewer and wants to keep things light, or are you suggesting that he is a little bit leaning toward the president of the United States?
You know, honestly, I don't want to go there in terms of bias with people. I think that the president's campaign team is really, really savvy, and they only take him in to safe places, and they vet all this stuff, and there are no surprises. It kills me that veteran journalists from Washington who are so cynical write, you know, the president's really witty, and he's really fast on these replies, and I'm going, you don't think it was scripted? Look, on Leno, this is what really upset me about Leno. They had Facebook questions, they said, from viewers. And one of them is, how do you cure rhamnesia? Well, now that's going too far. You're mocking the opponent
and using a campaign talking point.
And
what about I want to move along here. What about MTV? And this was extraordinary when Bill Clinton did it in 1994. Does it still rock to go on MTV?
Yeah, it was kind of boring, 5 o'clock on a Friday. I was a little disappointed. I had to get my Sunday column in. I'm going, this is really important. And the editor's like, sir, why do you care? But anyway, Sway Calloway, the DJ, was the interviewer. And actually, Sway asked good questions. He asked about, President Obama, please address the people who graduated from college with so much hope for your campaign 2008 who now don't have jobs. He really laid it out. But then President Obama said, well, you know, a college education will still earn $1 million, you know, that study, blah, blah, blah. And Sway never asked a follow-up, never came close asking a follow-up, and only would say, thank you. He was kind of cowed by being in the presence of the White House.
The president doing Morning Joe tomorrow, and he spent a couple of days, I mentioned, with the NBC anchor this week. Brian Williams got extraordinary access for Rock Center and the nightly news. What did that produce?
Well, you know what a fan I am of Rock Center with Chelsea Clinton, and the bowing anchorman. I called Brian Williams the bowing anchorman for the former interview he did where he bowed the president. In fairness, I thought he did a very good job of deconstructing what the campaign team was setting up. When they went to the fair in Iowa and they put hay bales around these two men in suits, Brian laughed about it, pulled it out, said, folks, they put this here so that you know we're in Iowa. He did a very good job. The problem is he didn't follow up on questions. But given what it is, I thought Brian did a much better job and deserves credit for it.
Right. There was one question on Libya, the attack in Libya in particular, where I thought he could have followed up.
Yes.
Okay. The Mitt Romney hasn't been on any of these shows since he did Kelly Ripa's program last month. He has done The Daily Show. He canceled on The View. You're not going to see him talking about his underwear on MTV. Letterman's ragging on him. Does that put him at a disadvantage in today's media marketplace?
I'm not sure it puts him on a disadvantage. Look, it gives President Obama an advantage to reach different audiences, just as Bill Clinton figured out, 20 years ago now. But here's what I think is dangerous about it. You know, when President Obama talked about the deaths in Benghazi with Jon Stewart not being optimal, using that language, right after a joke, really a kind of joke where he said, that's not very sexy in terms of something else.
Yeah.
And Stewart said, you don't know what makes it sexy to me. It demeans those kinds of... Four deaths should not be yuck yuck in the middle of a conversation on Comedy Central.
Well, on the one hand, we have a minute left, Jon Stewart's trying to get some serious questions in, so it's not just a laugh fest. On the other hand, you're saying the adjacency of the kidding around and talking about the deaths of American diplomats troubled you.
It's, Howie, it says to me, you demean the presidency. You know what we lose with this? President Obama is great on these shows, but we lose the Gettysburg Address, that end of the presidency. When you can speak to our better angels and elevate us, he's taken us into late-night TV on the couch instead of to Gettysburg. And that's really a danger because we need that, too, from a president.
These days, the Gettysburg Address would be considered way too long by television. You'd only get a 10-second
No
sound
page
bite.
views.
All right. David Zurich, thanks very much for stopping